What if standing up for freedom could get you killed? In the United States of America, millions of people lived in fear simply because of the color of their skin. This was the reality of segregation, a nation divided by race, by law, and by hate. But in the darkness, a movement began to rise. For decades, Black Americans were treated as second-class citizens. Separate schools, separate buses, separate restaurants. They were told where they could sit, where they could eat, even where they could drink water. And if they resisted, violence followed. America called it separate but equal. But equal never existed. Then came one moment that changed history forever. December 1st, 1955. A tired seamstress named Rosa Parks boarded a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. When ordered to give up her seat for a white passenger, she refused. That single act of courage sparked outrage across the country. For 381 days, Black Americans boycotted the buses, and from that protest, a new leader emerged, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The civil rights movement spread rapidly. Thousands marched through the streets demanding equality and justice, but the response was brutal. Police unleashed dawns on protesters. Fire hoses knocked children to the ground. Activists were beaten, arrested, and sometimes murdered. Still, they kept marching because they believed freedom was worth the risk. August 28, 1963. More than 250,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. The world watched as Martin Luther King Jr. stood before the crowd and delivered words that would echo through history forever. I have a dream where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. For millions, hope finally felt possible, but the fight for equality came with sacrifice. Churches were bombed, families lived in fear, and on April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. America stood still, but his dream refused to die. The civil rights movement changed the nation forever. Segregation was outlawed, voting rights were protected, and generations inspired by the movement continued the fight for justice. Because the civil rights movement was never just about the past, it was about the future. And the question still remains today: how far are we willing to go for equality?